Welcome everyone. Hello and welcome to April 2023 meetup of Romania Power BI and Modern Excel user group with a very special and dear guest, Oz du Soleil.
Hey
Thank
there.
you.
I
Thank
hope I
you,
don't
Oz.
disappoint. I, you
No
know,
way. No
all
way.
right, all right. Come on. All
Thank you,
right.
Oz, for accepting
Yes.
our invitation. And for our newest members, my name is Cristian and I will be your host today.
All right.
A quick walkthrough through the agenda. We are in the welcome and overview section. Then I will present our next meetups. Then we will have our feature presentation, duet from Oz and myself.
Do it.
We can have a short Q&A session after Oz part, and then in the end we will also have the ROPAC 27 Enterprise DNA raffle, and I will tell you a bit more in the next slides, and then the wrap up. These are the house rules that we will just break today. So normally, yes, make sure that your mics are muted during the demos themselves, but if we have a break for Q&A, feel free to unmute and open your video. If you are shy, as Oz said, you can type your questions in the chat, but please put a Q in front so we can spot them easier. If you have
Mm,
problems with your internet connection, please drop off and sign in again. Teams is recording everything. And
yeah.
please be advised that if you don't want to appear on our YouTube afterwards, this meeting is recorded. So either disconnect or stay on off camera.
Right. And we got
Uh,
John Adair from Spartanburg, South Carolina, the whole other side of the country. Yeah, that's right. And yeah, if you have caught any fish out of season, you don't want to have that on this recorded line, right? Because the fish and game warden will see it. So go
very
ahead.
good.
We got Sue Bays. All right.
Yeah, in May we have Sue coming. Sue is a very dear friend of mine, and she will be doing an introduction to using paginating reports from Power BI. And then in June, we have one of the newest data platform MVPs, Matthias Halkier Petersen, also a colleague of mine from SML, with a session on Power BI row-level security, a deep dive on row-level security in Power BI, something much deeper than what I hope I'll be able to show you today. And then in July, Gregor Brunner is coming with another Power BI session introducing Measure Killer, his external tool, which is really cool. For whoever wants to see our past meetups, most of them are recorded, and you can go on our YouTube channel. Just go on bit.ly/ropog_history, and you can see all our recordings. This is the place where this recording is going also, when I have a time to edit it.
Aurora
I
looks
sent
happy about this. Says all interesting. All right. John Adair again. Okay. All right. I'm being disruptive. Go ahead.
no problem. No,
All right.
I told everyone this will be special, so no
Okay.
problem.
Okay. All right.
Well, I told you earlier, I have some details about the Enterprise
Raffle.
DNA partnership. They are our main official sponsor, primary official sponsor, let's say it like this, and they are sponsoring us since August 2021. We were the first user group in the world sponsored by Enterprise DNA, and they are offering on each of the live sessions 2 licenses for 1 year for the live attendees. In order to benefit of one of these or to win one of these, you have to enter our raffle. And our raffle is just filling up a form scanning the QR code or filling the form from the screen, tick the option that you want to be in the raffle, and we will have the raffle at the end of the meetup. Don't worry if you don't have the time to scan the QR code. I will put the link in the chat during the session. So, coming back to our session, as I said, I'm really happy to have you, Oz. We're finally here after months of planning and delaying or adjusting schedules and things like this.
Yep.
For whoever doesn't know Oz, he's an Excel developer, Excel trainer, LinkedIn instructor, and Microsoft Excel MVP. He's also a book writer and a video course instructor on Camtasia. By the way, I still haven't finished the course also, so don't.
Right.
I will finish it in the end.
All right.
He has a special way of doing his videos and on his YouTube channel, which is called Excel on Fire, and he has almost 40,000 subscribers. And I totally recommend everyone in the meetup today to subscribe and check out his videos because they are really, really cool.
Thank you.
We've met in person last year in November in Sofia, and I'm really looking forward to meet you again.
Yes. It was great meeting you back then. We've known each other for several years now. Yeah.
But
and I got to meet Claudia.
Yeah.
Claudia
it's
Horschel.
Time.
Yeah. All right.
Maybe we gotta arrange something. Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
For who doesn't know me, my name is Cristian. I'm a data guy from Romania who found Power Query and Power Pivot back in 2014 and changed my career, actually. I'm a former project manager with engineering background, but since a few years now, I'm working in IT, doing the link between business and IT. And I'm also Microsoft MVP starting last year in December.
That's beautiful. Yep.
The session today came from a real-life challenge at work when a colleague of mine asked me, how can I, as a manager of several people, can check which of my people are on vacation in the same period? And, there are several ways to do it, and we'll showcase some of them today. And we need your help, you, the attendees. You, the attendees, will be our colleagues today, and you will be part of the demo. So please scan this QR code or click on the screen for the links. They should work in Teams. And take 15 seconds to fill up the forms and put your vacations on. Let's say that Oz and myself are the team managers, and all of you, the attendees, are our colleagues, and you have to plan your vacations. I will briefly explain you how this works and how did we set it up. But anyway, in terms of just keeping the demo as a demo and not as a real use case, please make sure you're filling up the dates only for May, June, July, and August. Don't plan for the entire year or for next year.
Right.
I will also.
We might have some ornery ones though that won't cooperate, but that's okay.
True. So as a quick overview how this entire setup will work, this is the form that you are filling up right now. I've built a flow, a very easy flow to get the data from the form and put it in a SharePoint list. And from the SharePoint list, we are connecting using Excel and getting the Power Query from SharePoint list, get the raw data, both Oz and myself. But Oz will show you a solution built with dynamic arrays, and I will show you a solution built with Power Query. If we have enough time in the end, if we are not getting too long, I will import the data from the Power Query into Power BI put some row level, very simple row level security, and then analyze it in Excel. So we complete the circle from Excel to Power BI and back to Excel.
Can you put the link in the chat, please?
Sure, sure. Let me anyway stop sharing because Oz, it's Oz time.
Oh, it is.
Yeah.
Oh, you want me to show what I've built?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. All right. Let me.
Yeah. Let me put the link here.
Okay. All right. You can see my screen.
Yeah, maybe we can have a big an overview at the beginning, or tell you,
Right.
or explain everyone how you did everything, and then refresh the data. So wait for 1 or 2 minutes so everyone will fill the form.
Right. Right. So here's what's happening: is there's this form that people fill out, and here is some data. All right. So this is only Team Oz. I used Power Query to bring the data in, and I peeled away anybody that's on Cristian's team. And so I pulled in the names. We got Max, Mr. Howdy, Roger, Baltimore, and the type of vacation that they want off, and the start and end dates. All right. And then over here, I have errant data. Look at this. Gene asked to start a vacation on the 27th of June and end it on the 22nd of June. That makes no sense. And I am not going to go in and correct it and assume that these should be backwards. I figure I will set them aside. And when Gene comes back and says, hey, what's the deal? I'll say, hey, look at this. And he'll say, oh, and go back his desk and put his head in his hands because his vacation is not going to happen. So let me do this. I want to show you. Go to data, queries and connections, and over here. Okay, so here's the data that came in. All right, it got change type and filter. So now I only have mine, and then I added a conditional column, and the conditional column is checking for backward dates. All right, and it puts a dumbfounded face on there, and that's what you get here. And over here is okay, and notice this is oops, this is okay. And so now one way that I wanted to look at this was this way. Close this. All right, so I've got a scroll bar, and I'm going to be careful because this thing gets stuck, and I haven't figured out why it gets stuck, but it gets stuck with refreshes. All right, so I've got a chart here so that I can see it's got stuck. But okay, so this is what I'm going to do is I'm going to change the start date to say 25 April 23. Enter. Okay, and there's a 5 here that's tied to the scroll bar, but that's not a big deal. So I'm going to put this as a 1. So now I can see. Okay, I've got 3 people off that day, and I'm using filter to tell me who the 3 people are, and right here who the 5 people are. All right, and it's coming from, the count is happening here. Okay, got to count ifs. All right, and this is just a bar graph giving me a 14-day window. And let's see, I don't know what makes this. Okay, so if I wanted to look at, say, 1 July 23. Okay. All right, so let me go ahead and refresh and see what happens. Refresh. Everybody take a deep breath. Ooh, ooh, look here. And also, I have a sort that says, okay, so our earliest date is the 10th of April, and then the latest. Okay, so here's Jake wanting to take 1 day off. Okay. Uh, okay, 10 days. Okay. Brian, Netherlands. All right. So let me go look here. I don't know what gets that thing acting that way. Let me go back and look here. 16th of May. Okay. So we got Roger and Brian Good. And Brian's data just came in. I did have Roger before we started all of this, but here we got Brian. Oh, and we got Brian and Johnny on these 3 days are going to be out. All right. So, but let me show you something. Here, I made this a few years ago, and this is working okay. I don't know why this other one is working. I don't know whether it doesn't like dynamic arrays, but this one is telling me how many guests I'm going to have in this hotel based on the reservations on a given day. So, let's see. Scroll back.
So it's more or less the same thing, but
Yeah,
with a different data, with an actual working file.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Everybody needs to know that Oz is using his spare laptop. This is why
Right,
nothing.
right. That's
We might get in trouble with refreshing.
right. So, but yeah, so this shows you that it did work, and I made this before dynamic arrays existed, and that's where I'm wondering if there is some conflict with dynamic arrays. I don't know. I need to research that, and I started researching that, and so I'm not going to close that anyway. All right, so that's what's happening here. Are there any questions? But it's pretty neat. Let me refresh again and see if there are any other people, any other data came in.
Yeah, I'm curious on the thought process, Oz. How would you split a problem like this? So how do you start? Do you take the I don't know, the entire picture, the mean, the max, or the thought process is usually more interesting than the
Yeah,
solution itself.
right. So the thought process. How much detail do I want to see? Do I want something that takes me through the whole 365 days of the year? Or do I want a window that I can scroll through and see a limited piece of the data? So I thought this window would be pretty neat. And also, I saw this feature, this scrolling feature used when I was doing Excel TV, and Jordan Goldmeyer had done this. And so I've used this on a number of projects. Like I had a lawyer client who had lots of documents that were due, and he liked this idea of, can you give me like maybe a 3-week window that I can scroll through rather than me having all of this big monstrous thing always hanging out. So yeah, so that's what I thought about with this, is if somebody said they want to know about a certain date, a date range, scrolling through a window might be easier than having the big thing. Now, I do like, now Cristian built this. Okay, I do like this. Okay, because it does give you a nice visual with check marks and people. You got slices and stuff. Um, and you can, if somebody wanted to go all the way out near the end of the year, you could scroll out that far. So there is good in this view, and part of what I wanted to offer was an alternative view. Also, because so much of what I've done over the years is cleaning data, I'm aware of all the ways stuff can get messed up. And so that's where I put in this idea of a oops, of somebody putting stuff in wrong. And as Cristian and I were discussing it as part of our preparation, the form does not allow for validation in it unless you got to do some extra fancy stuff in order to say, okay, the end date cannot be before the start date.
True.
Okay, so um this is a real world kind of thing that I had to deal with, where I would get data and the source had no controls in it. And so I had to build that into my process. And there were times where I could go and change a process, like if it was some easy fix that somebody can do on a report, then we could do that. But if it had to involve all kind of green light committees and permissions and stuff, then never mind. I'll do the data validation on my end. You're welcome.
True that.
So
And
that
this is why I
is
wanted to start with a form and not like usually it happens in a corporation, because usually in a corporation there are some systems where everybody is putting the data in. There are some minimal reports there, and the manager just exports that data, which is more or less standard, and do the analysis on it and uh, start from there. But having the form, it's a quick solution, even for a non-technical person who has access to Microsoft 365. Just build a form quickly, build a really easy flow, and get everything in a list and start from there. And this is when things like what Oz already prepared as fake data with wrong dates had to plan for from the beginning. And
mhm,
planning for it, it's more important than actually doing it.
right. Yeah, cause yeah, you build something and set it out into the world, and then all kind of weird stuff comes back at you. No, no,
Yeah,
you plan for
true.
that. You test it and you see, okay, can somebody put in something weird? What happens when they do it? How bad is it? And so, yeah, where can you adjust for it in the process? Right. That's yes, that is more important stuff than some fancy formula.
Mhm. And there is a question in the chat from Aurora.
Yes.
Is the
Yes.
data filter for Austin
Right.
on the
Yes.
screen?
So that on the screen, yes. Yes. And I will go back into Power Query. Let me see.
So you filter it completely from the beginning, only for
Yeah.
you.
Yeah. I
Okay.
I did not filter it because if I saw your people there and then I start getting in a mindset of, wait a minute,
Yeah, but
how is
what
Christian
if?
allowing all this time off? Maybe that's why my team is working so hard, because his is out in Bali and out in Texas and having a good time. So yeah, so I did filter right here. So let's see. Right here, there's all of Christian's people. And then I filtered to get my people so that I'm not distracted by all their time off. And then I referenced a query. So if you don't know what referencing a query is say if you've got some data that you know you need to split apart, but say the first 5, 10, 20 steps are all going to be the same for both, you just do that once and then reference a query for this data and then reference that original query so that then you can go in a different direction for the others. Beautiful thing, because you see, I've only got a couple of steps in this one and a few steps here.
Mm-hmm. And
But both of them needed these steps.
What if you were a data analyst having to build the report for the manager of Cristian and Oz? How would you treat this? Keeping both themes there, would you put the filter inside the Excel at the source, or would you do it with a dynamic array and keep a single cell choosing from that one?
If it was a whole separate report for our manager or our vice president, I would probably reference this. Okay, reference, and then
the raw data.
Rename and say big boss. Okay, so then I can do whatever I need to do here. Maybe I know, so see, wait a minute. Which one did I reference? Did I reference the right one?
Yeah, the main one.
Okay. Oh, so this already has the filter in it. Let me delete this. But yeah, so I would reference this. Yeah, okay, so that's what I would do. Wait a minute. No. I would duplicate it. I would duplicate it because I want those steps, because I would
eliminate the filter probably.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm going to duplicate the query and then get rid of this and get rid of this. Yeah, so that's what I would do if I had to do that. And so I'm yeah, but I don't want that. I'm gonna delete it because I don't want it. But that's the example, and kind of a taste of reference versus duplicate.
And what are the main dynamic arrays function that you've used inside this solution?
Yeah,
your
and
Windows
this is
solution.
Yeah, so this is, and you saw it was working. So what I have in here, I have let's see, I've got sequence because it is tied to the scroll bar and this number. Okay, so it's starting the 15th of May and going 5 days. And then if I change this to 11, or the scroll bar changed it to 11, okay, 15, okay, it's giving us the information. So so that's how I have sequence working. All right, go 14 rows, just one column, and O3 plus V5, and in steps of 1. So that is the dynamic array, right?
Is the starting date, and V5 is probably the number of days that you want to see, right?
No, that's the number of days from this day. Right.
Got it.
Right. So if we go back to 0, or the top of the scroll bar, we'll be at 15 May. And we can go down 100. That's the maximum on a and see, I can't even touch this bar. I gotta find out what this is. But okay, so we use filter to see. All right, so I have a delimiter inside this text join, but I started with filter to give me the names of the people whose time or whose day includes this. So the 6th of June, we only have Baltimore with some time there, and filter is showing me that. Okay, so we go back, and there is Baltimore wanting an unpaid day on the 6th of June. And then down here at the 12th of June, we've got Florence and John Adair. Okay, 12th of June, 12th of June. All right. So any other questions?
I don't know, anyone from the chat, any specific question on dynamic arrays or on our solution?
And Aurora says this is so real life. And I wonder what you see about this that's so real life.
I think she was referring to the start date put wrong after the end date of the of a vacation, which can happen in real life.
Yep.
Right.
Exactly. It happens. So, and then I felt like it was important to have some fake data in here to test different things. I had to test and make sure. So like, what if somebody wanted one day off? My initial draft of this, it couldn't handle 1 day off. It would turn into 0. And so I had to adjust things. And so I had just greater thans and less thans. And I needed some equals in there in the right places so that this would make sense with somebody at 1 day off.
Got it. Yeah, this is what I was telling you about when I did the subtraction in also I had to cater, and I will show it in Power Query how to deal with 1 day off.
And see, it was working, and then I slid the workbook and it is stuck again. So yeah, I'm gonna do some research.
Pretty strange. It's strange that the other one is working and this one is working only from time to time, because it is working, but not all the time. This is the tricky part. There is a question from Otilia. Could the form data be linked with an HR system, ERP, to check that the correct team has been selected, the correct employee? Well, Otilia, if you use a Microsoft form, you are pretty limited, let's say it like this, and to put it nicely. If you want to have a custom form, you would have to build a kind of Power Apps where you put some logic inside and do some validations. Unfortunately, Microsoft Forms are pretty limited and for easy use cases. I built this for the demo just to see that it's working, and we can get some live data from you and show you how we can put the data from a form to a SharePoint list and then connect with an Excel file there. So if you are using Microsoft Forms, it will probably not be very sophisticated.
But Cristi, to that point, if it's done only within the organization, you can change the setting for only within the organization, and then that's going to capture the UPN.
Exactly. If you're doing it inside an organization with Office 365, you don't even have to put your name there because you can be recognized by the system, and then you can have a lookup afterwards in the AD to get the department. So you don't even have to put your department, and you can also add in the flow an approval flow. So what I did here, I just put a very simple flow, getting the details from a form, and putting them in a SharePoint list. But in a real life scenario, you would have an approval flow, an approval step in between, and only if your manager approves it, then the data will be saved somewhere and some emails can be sent. This is why not asking for an email address, I didn't even send you emails. But if you check the other form that I sent you for the enterprise DNA raffle, this is also done with Power Automate. And you saw that I could also send emails and do some additional stuff there. Ionuț is saying, I presume a different data source would work. Well, I don't think it's the data source, Ionuț. Data source, it's really cool. The SharePoint lists are really, let's say it next level from Excel in terms of storing data. But dynamic arrays and the settings on Oz machine are tricky because this laptop is not his main one, right, Oz?
Right. So I don't know if it would, I had some problems with my desktop, so I don't know what the problem is, but on that other workbook, it's working fine. So,
Yeah, strange.
But I am gonna ask and see if I can find out what the hell is going on. All right.
Yeah, you're right. Instead of Microsoft Forms, you could use some really professional forms. There are some really cool form builders that can customize it and then do some validations, what Ilya was asking earlier. But as I said, usually in a corporation, you have some systems and this data is just an export from each manager to Excel because as Rob Colley is saying, export to Excel is the third most used button in any software after OK and cancel. So you would probably export it and leverage Power Query to get the data in. True, Christy, if we ignore the pagination limit on Power Automate. Well, normally, if you need more than 256 pages, you are not using the Power Automate, or not like this, not the normal connectors. Let's say it like this. If you need it, then it means you have a lot of data. Exactly, usually is the keyword here, but in real life, things happen. So, any other question for Oz before we move to the Power Query other possibility?
Yeah, any other questions? Don't ask for marriage advice, though. I don't have anything for that. But if you do have any other questions, I might be able to help.
Well, if
all right,
no other question, let's move
now it's time for the showstopper.
Yeah, let's
the headliner.
My solution. Oh, it's a different solution. This is the beauty here, that you can fix a problem or you can solve a problem different ways. So it all depends on your skills, your level of knowledge, your time to build a complete solution, any other limitations. So you can have different solutions for the same problem.
Yep.
So I'm having
different needs, right?
Exactly. Yep. Exactly. If you want just to see who is on vacation, then it can be very simple to put a list with all the names and do it from a pivot table. This is it. But in order to get there, you have to prep your data. And the best data washing machine, as Wayne Hopkins is saying, is Power Query, in my view. So I have a file with a very simple connection, the same connection to the same SharePoint list. If I would open it on the right screen, it would be much better, right? So I already have some data inside, and the query itself, it's really easy. It's just a connection to the SharePoint online lists. I did choose the implementation V2. I find it easier. I mean, there are less columns to delete. Let's say it like this. And I did navigate to the right list and then change the types. So from here, usually what I'm doing, I'm keeping the raw data connection as a connection only. I've learned it from Ken Pauls and I'm sticking to it. And I always reference the query. So let's put it as a solution Sol1, for example. Rename the step, Control-Shift+. It should be visible, more visible, right? So first step here would be to refresh it and get the new preview. And yes, we have some data from Canada, US, Romania, Bulgaria, Portugal, lots of people. Well, thanks again for joining. Let's see who wants on vacation and how many days. Well, first thing is I usually start from the UI, and then if needed, I'm going to the M language. So I'm selecting the end date as a column, the start date as a column, and I'm adding a column from date. I'm just subtracting days to see how many days are each of the people want vacation for each period. But as all said before, with the 1 day vacation, check this out. Our first test was from vacation was from 13th of April to 15th. So including 13, there are 3 days, right? And the result is 2 here. So we will need to add 1. So very easy, very light editing of the formula. I'm just going inside the formula bar and I'm adding 1 here. And I'm getting the right numbers now. Well, from these ones, we need the list of dates. So in my view, my approach would be that for each period with a start and an end date, I would need the list of dates on which that person is on vacation. And the easiest thing, well, there are several solutions, but one of the easiest solutions is to go with add column, a custom column, and use.
Say, can I ask you a question? Okay,
Please.
so when you were talking about that subtraction column,
Yeah.
right, as we were preparing, I put somebody on your team that had the dates backwards, and I'm wondering how you caught it.
It's -4. Everything.
No. I'm wondering because we hadn't talked about that. I kind of surprised you with it, and I'm wondering how you found it.
You'll see now. There is an error that we have to take care for. There are errors. There are ways to keep it, and this is also real life. Usually, people are putting data, especially in Excel or free form typing, all kind of data. So you have to always check for them and even plan for errors. I have a session on Power Query errors, and it's on our YouTube channel.
Beautiful.
So,
all right.
For each person with each start and end date period, I want to list all the dates between the start date and the end date. And there are several options to do it, and I will show you very quickly 2 of them. So one of them is to add a custom column and use the function list.dates, which is requiring a start date, which is our start date from here. The counters number, which is our column here, which is called subtraction, and we should take care of that one before. So we'll go back list. See, real life. I haven't learned the demo by heart. This is why I'm doing it, because here, if we want to change the name of the column, we could just double click and put it, but then we would add an additional step in the query. But otherwise, we can also do a light editing of the formula and put it here as days. So the new column is days, and then go again with list dates. Start date. It's our start date from here. Count as number. Well, this column, the number of days on vacation, is our exact need. And the step as a duration for the list, this is an important part. If you put 1 as a number 1, you will get an error, because it's pretty clear here that it needs a duration. And in Power Query, duration has a special way of writing it with hash duration.
Oh, wow.
Which is
Gesundheit. Somebody sneezing.
Yeah.
Right.
So duration has a way of writing it with, you have to declare the number of days, hours, minutes, and seconds there. So we'll put 1 day, 0 hours, 0 minutes, 0 second, and close the parentheses. And this is days on vacation. So if we put it like this, for each of the rows here, we are getting a list. But if you see here, up here, we have an error. We have at least one error on this column. And if we are checking it, see, exactly these are the ones that you were asking us.
Mhm.
You get an error.
Yep.
So
Yep.
in order to take care of this error, we can do a little modification on the formula just by double clicking and wrap everything what we did here in a try otherwise. So if we put it try this, and if you get an error, so otherwise no, we'll get nulls where we have errors. And this is how I'm doing first the if I'm referencing and putting a filter on nulls, I'm getting the oops list that you had.
Mm-hmm.
One way of putting the filters, well, I cannot put it here, I will do it later. I have to expand the list. And I want to show you what's inside for each of the people here. So here, you see, for these 3 days, I have a preview of the dates on which that person is on vacation. On this one, so on this row, it's 5 days. On this one, because we did cater with a try and otherwise, we have null. But if we go to the end on for Rosita, for example, she's on vacation, on study vacation from the 21st and 22nd of May, and on unpaid vacation for the next 5 days. And I'm getting in a single list all the dates for each of the persons. So next step would be really easy to expand to new rows. So expand each list to new rows. And we get a full list of people that with every people in every day when he was or he is supposed to be on vacation. This is the step where we would cater for the nulls. Let's see. Yeah. So we will right click and reference. This is the oops list. And we can filter only the nulls. And as I said, you can do a filter from here, but I want to show you another way of putting filters in Power Query. If you select a cell that you want to filter by, you have a contextual menu, date filters. If I'm putting it here, I have number filters. So I'm going on this one, date filters equals, and in a single click, I have the filter by itself. And from this one, the solution one, I want to reference it again and put it solution one, okay, or vacation or people on vacation days, and filter out the nulls. So let's use the standard filter and filter it out. Just modify it as a date, and this is it. Load it from here.
Yep.
This is one way of doing it and putting the list. I want to show you one more way of how we can build the list of people, the list of dates. So if I'm referencing again the initial query and put solution 2, I will do the same thing, subtracting. So set order of selection when we are doing subtract here matters. So I need to select the first operand in the subtraction first, and then the start date, and then do the subtract days. We know that we need to add another day, +1. It doesn't matter much here, but because only for this it matters to cater for the ones that are putting the data wrong, because building the list doesn't include this column anymore. This is called days. But we are also adding, so to build the list of dates between start date and end date, we can do it separate as a list, as a custom list. So to define a list, we start with curly braces. And then what do we need? We need the list of dates between start date and end date. But if we do it like this, start date and end date, what do you think? Will it work? Oz, you already know the answer.
Yeah.
I'm asking the attendees.
Right.
Jasim, yeah, you're right. It will not work. It will return errors, and it clearly says that we cannot apply operator ... defining the list for date and types date and date. So what do? We know it's working with text. We know it's working. So building a list with text, with numbers and so on. Exactly. Christy in the chat is saying exactly. You have to transform them in numbers first. So we'll go back into this step and wrap every date in a number.from.
And you know, there's a question about work days versus calendar days, and that did cross my mind as I was developing this. And
Yep.
I would consider that level of detail if this was a real paid project.
Exactly.
Right. Definitely a concern. And so I just figured, okay, this is a retail shop that's open 7 days a week. And
No,
these
but
are
we
the
can cater for it very easy in Power Query, and I'll show you how I would do it very easily at the beginning, and I will explain how I would do it in a real life project. So here, now that we have the list with the number from start date and number from end date, you see we have a list of numbers. These are the number of the corresponding number of that specific date. So for each of them, we have 3 dates, 5 dates, and if we go below for Rosita, for example, yes, we have the 2 dates and these 5 dates. We only need to expand to new rows. And then from here, we have to transform the numbers into dates. And this is it. Same thing, different method. So it all depends on what do we prefer. And catering for the weekends, this is how I will do it very easily also. This is the easy solution.
Okay.
We know the dates, right? We just go to add a column and get for day of week, or name of day, even better, name of day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And filter out the ones that are on Sunday and Saturday. This is how I would do it very easily if I would only want to put the data in and write a pivot table on it.
Right. Beautiful.
Sue is saying, I suspect calendar days, but you could edit in filter working days to the table. Yeah, this, I suppose you're talking about the other solution, Sue. And I want to briefly show you how I would do it in the real life if this would be a real problem.
And Sue Bays is getting all raucous. He said, boom, shake the room, hot dog.
Normally,
Yeah.
in real life, even in Excel, I would load this data inside the data model. I wouldn't load it just like it is in Excel. So close and load. My defaults are to load everything as connection only, but I will put it in tables, all of them, in new worksheets. But normally in real life, even for easy stuff, I'm loading everything to the data model because this way I can leverage DAX and I can leverage the data model there. And as everybody knowing Power Pivot or some Power BI, in any data model, you need a calendar table. And you need to build it. And in order to, well, you need to build it. In our case, you need to build it. You can already have it as a custom calendar for the entire corporation or the entire company. But in our case, to keep it dynamic, we could build our own calendar and load it together with the data inside the data model. And the easiest way to do it is to edit one of the queries, reference it. Let's get the first one. Yeah, it doesn't matter which one. Reference the query and rename it calendar and start from here. Normally, I would keep this days on vacation, right? I would keep it right click, remove other columns. But if you check the formula that Power Query wrote for me, well, I'm adding a step, it's table.select columns. Why would I want to do it? I want to show you a different way. So when you are referencing a query or a step above, you can go directly into the column that you are interested just by projecting it with square brackets and put vacation days. How was it? I forgot the name already. Let me copy it so I don't forget it. Days on vacation. So I need to keep only this column, right? So I'm going in the formula on the first step, days on vacation, and this is it. Well, this is a list. So I'm actually drilling down on this column and I get a list. But from this one, for a calendar, you need to have the start date and the end date of the calendar. And from the start date and end date are usually the beginning and the end of full years. Yeah, I don't want to go there. I'm just showing a simple solution, Christy. Christy is saying in the chat that it looks like we move into having a potential session about calendars. I don't want to go deep on this, but I want to show some use cases on how you can build it dynamically. So now we have a list, right? Well, this list, I need to get the start date and the end date from this list. So I'm wrapping everything in a list.main. List main. So I have the minimum from that list. And from this one, I need to get the start of the year, because usually a calendar in a data model starts from January 1st to December 31st. So in order to do it, I could use date start a year, date start of year, and wrap everything in this one. But I will get an error. No, not this one. Usually, depending on how your data is stored, you can get an error if you are not, if you don't have a date there, because these ones were already dates. This is it. So this one is our start date, right? Let's move a little bit into the advanced editor and rename this as start date. And I want to build another step with an end date. Control C, I will copy everything, just modify it as end date. And here I will put date end of year. And here I will get the maximum from that list, because normally you would have, you can have vacation days starting in 1 year and getting finishing in the next year. So you would need to cover the entire, you would need to build a calendar for both years. So we need to get the maximum of this one. And let's finish with the end date, displayed the end date. What did I do wrong? Date end of year. Ah,
I think
course.
you miss an X. Yeah.
Exactly. If I would type correctly, it would be much better, right? So now that we have the min and the max, we can build the calendar just like we did it before. Advanced editor, or we don't even have to go to advanced editor. We can start from here and build the list that we built before. So number from start date dot number from end date. Close the curly braces. And what did I do wrong here? Start date.
You have to close
the closing bracket from the first number dot from.
start date. Yeah.
And this is the list. This is our beautiful calendar. Well, from here, it's really easy. Just transform it into table. Rename it as date. Make it as a date. Set the data types of date. And from here, it's just a matter of click. So I need the year. I'm selecting the column. I need the month. And also from here, I'm selecting the month name. I don't want the entire month name, so I will transform this and extract only the first 3 characters. And this is it. We have our full calendar, 365 days, starting on January 1st and finishing on December 31st. Well, normally this is what I would do, and let's load into the data model only the solution 1 and the calendar. Let's make sure the data types are correct here. So Control A, detect data types. Actually, not this one. This is the one not containing the nodes, right? So Control A, detect data types, and load it into data model. Close and load to. leave it like this because I want to show you something else that I've learned from the Gasper comment check. If you have the data loaded in Excel in a sheet which has the name of the sheet, if you delete the sheet, check out the type of connection that is doing after the delete. It's getting automatically to connection only. So I will delete everything, all the sheets, and put everything to connection only. And then load in the data model only the calendar. Right click, load to, add this to the data model, and vacation days. Right click, load to, add this to the data model. There are better tools to do it. With Monkey Tools, for example, where you can set hundreds of queries to load in different solutions. But for now, this is everything I need to have. So now that I have the data that I'm interested in the data model, I'm just going in the Power Pivot window, manage, connect them, and start building my pivot tables out of them. The diagram view, and I want to connect the two tables. The calendar will filter the vacation days, date and days on vacation. I think this is the date, a relation one-to-many, and then insert the pivot table from this data model on a new worksheet, and then start from there. So if we want to put the teams on rows and the names and the number of days, we can just build a really easy measure. I want to build it in the vacation days and the days on vacation. And here it's a simple count rows of vacation days table. Check the formula, set the format once and forget about it. And we have everything as we need it. Now that if we want to see exactly what Oz showed earlier, who is overlapping on vacation, we just go and get the month name and put it on the column and the dates, and we can have everything and also add some slicers with months. This is for filtering easier, but there is an issue that is easy to fix. You see, the months are in alphabetical order. In the data model, if you want to have them correctly, you have to go back to the data model, go to Power Pivot, manage, and go to data view. In the calendar, I want to sort the month name, sort this column by column month here. And now when we go back to Excel, April, May, June, August, everything is sorted correctly. If we want weeks, we can put weeks. And this is how we can easily see. Let's put also some on this one. Let's put some conditional formatting to see better the overlays. I don't want to see subtotals. As Oz said, there are too many in a row. So I will get the month name out for now. Select everything at once. Control Shift right click, home, conditional formatting, and keep here, highlight, I don't know, everything that is equal to 1, for example. And now it's very easy to see which is overlapping in which team. So if I'm selecting April, it's not working anymore because the conditional formatting is catering for what I already had there. So manage rules, edit rule, and format everything. Yeah, it should work. Or we can do it again and put it as equals to 1 and see the overlaps. Very easy. Let me save the file. And any question on this one? You know, I see a comment that you don't like the type part of it. Setting the data type. For which part? I'm not sure I get the comment.
In the context that we are discussing, I think it was more around typing the whole formula.
Okay, I got it. So, if there is not any question, Oz, would you have anything to comment on the Power Query part? What would you prefer? Dynamic arrays or Power Query?
Well, I still don't understand lists, right? And there was a comment earlier about how great lists are, and
They are really smart.
You know, yeah, it's still some weird thing for me, and so I recognize that. Also, I don't like writing code. And so I recognize that some of my solutions might be long and complex with a lot of steps, but it's what I understand and what I can be responsible for. So, and then I've never understood calendar tables, but that's not my world. I'm usually cleaning data or building some kind of a tool for cleaning data. So, I hear a lot about calendar tables, but I've never had to build one.
Yeah, if you want to work with the data model and using DAX inside the Power Pivot, for example, you will need a calendar table, even only for time intelligence or things that you would want to consider from time intelligence perspective. So you have one date. There are a lot of DAX functions already built, time intelligence functions like same period last year, parallel periods, total year to date, total month to date, total quarter to date, all kind of none of the official DAX time intelligence functions are working without a calendar. Let's say it like this. Of course, in the real world, when you get used to it, you still need the calendar, but you are not using the official out-of-the-box time intelligence. You will need custom time intelligence because usually the calendars are not the normal January 1st to December 31st. You have fiscal calendars, you have 544 calendars, things like this. So you need custom time intelligence functions. And the ones that you have already built by Microsoft as DAX functions are mostly for teaching and understanding, because in the real life, in a corporation, you never have January 1st as the start of fiscal year. Let's say it like this.
And yeah, and I've heard that, and coming from customer service or being a commissions analyst, I just work with dates. Before, after, 3 days after, 20 days before, that's been my world.
Yeah.
So
see,
no
Cristi,
forecasting or anything. Okay, go ahead.
Cristi has a question. What is your opinion around SharePoint lists connections around using the out-of-the-box connector versus the OData one? Are you using much connections to SharePoint?
Yep, and I just recently discovered the OData one, which in theory should support some folding.
Query folding, yeah, but is it fast enough?
I tested it only on small list and up until now, so my opinion on it on terms of performance would be irrelevant on the size. But once I will test it on a big one, I will let the group know.
Okay. Oz, are you using much data from SharePoint?
Never,
Never.
never,
So
never.
this
You
was
know,
something
yeah,
special.
right. Because my clients, they would email me spreadsheets or share something in Dropbox. That's about it.
Yeah, I already have a build file here. We don't have enough time to go through it, but I want to show you a different way of building the calendar. These are two different solutions with keeping the errors and listing the dates and so on. But there is a really cool way. See, this is the calendar that I built even now. It's a little bit different here. I kept the first column and then remove the duplicates, filter the rows. So this is another method of getting the start of the year and getting the start date. And then you should do it again to get the end date, but then you could do it just like I did it here. In a single step, all the steps above, we could do it in a single step. And you get a number of steps here. If you want to be more elegant, but going a bit into the advanced editor, there is a much shorter solution like this one. So I'm getting the same table, but only with 2 steps in actually getting the list of dates. And then these are the ones that we already have there, inserting the date, the month, and the month name. So this one will cater for Alt3. Alt3 is the shortcut for my advanced editor because it's on the quick access toolbar. I want to show you how beautiful this is using list.generate. List.generate starts, so if you check the syntax for list.generate, it starts with an initial as a function. Our initial is actually the start of the year, which is done with a reference to the start date as a list, getting the minimum, and then the start of the year from that minimum. A condition is the second parameter of list.generate, which is really cool because we can use the condition as long as this one, the initial, is lower or equal than the last day of the year, which is built exactly like this one, but in a single line. And then using a function, adding dates for each of the date, adding 1 day. This is the step that gives me all the steps that I did before. It gives me the table with all the dates there. And if we go here, see, it's the first step. In a single step, I'm getting everything. And from here, I'm just converting it into a table. Again, in a single step, I don't have to go with and convert it, change the name, and change the type. You can do it in a single step by just using, normally the default would give us a null here and a null here. You can modify table.fromList as a column as any here that can be modified with saying it that it's a type table and that table is of date type. So in 2 steps, I have the entire table with the lists and the already converted. Well, any other question on Power Query or things like this? Because otherwise, I will show you quickly how you would import it in Power BI and move from there. But I don't think we have enough time to go through the demo, but I want to show it to you.
Right.
Yeah, Eric is asking, can you put the advanced editor back up again on the previous example? Yeah, sure. Which one? The one with
Right.
this calendar?
Yeah, while we're doing that, George is saying that once I get to know lists, I'll fall in love. And I can't respond with an emoji or anything because of whatever Teams is doing. I don't know. This thing is. Ugh.
Yeah, this one, Eric. Yeah. You will see the recording. Don't stress yourself with print screens because you will get the recording. So the idea that this one is exactly this one, but nicely formatted. This one is formatted, so we know we start from the table. From that table, we are keeping only that column, so we get a list. From that list, we are wrapping everything in a list.min to get the minimum from that list. And then we get the date out of it. And then based on this date, we get the date start of the year. And this is our start, this is our end, and then we are just adding these. Another thing that I'm not sure everybody knows, in Power Query, in the advanced editor, you can also Control-Shift plus or minus to zoom in or out. This can be very helpful if you want to see it better. If you make it print full screen, you can see it much better if you want, if you like to play like this. So now that we have the data built, let me close this one, the final one, and return to this one, the one that we built here with the two columns, vacation days and calendar, this one. So in the data model, we have vacation days and calendar and one measure here, right? So if we save it and close it and open a Power BI file, so this is an empty Power BI file. The best thing that you can do, instead of working everything again, you just go to File, Import, and there is an option here without any icon. Import from Power Query, Power Pivot, and Power View. This is how I got started in Power BI back in the day. I'm still using it, even if it doesn't have an icon. So I'm building everything in, or I'm starting the model in Excel, and then I'm importing into Power BI. Save. Let's save it somewhere. Yeah, this one. Demo. Needs to be saved before importing. And I want to import this file, right? The one that we built now. If I'm building it, I get a notification that we don't work directly, but we try to get everything that you built into Power BI. If I click Start, I get everything that I built there inside Power BI. All the queries, the data model, the measures, everything. So if I'm going into the data model, it's the exact same data model that I've built in Power Pivot. If I go into the table, I can see that I have the days on vacation measure. And if I'm putting the days on vacation and month name, but as a table, or yeah, leave it as it was, and put the theme as a legend, we can see exactly which team is doing which, yeah, like this. We can also add the number of days, data labels, and here, if we want to drill down, we just add the date. And because I have auto time intelligence on, I'm getting too many options. I'm getting a hierarchy here. So I'm going to File, Options, Data Load, turn off time intelligence, auto date time, And then from here, if I want to drill down on July, I just click on it and I see in every day which people are overlapping or on which team and things like this. If we want to put it by name, we can put the names also inside name of the people and see whoever is on vacation. And this is a very simple way of seeing the data. The idea is that here you can set roles, and this is what I wanted to show you. So for as you publish your report in the service, you can add row level security. And for a deep dive on row level security, you should come to our June meetup. I will show you what you can do and what I did already yesterday. So you can define roles here. Let's say I need a new role, which is called Oz team. Oz, not us. And here I need to add from this vacation days, I need to add the column team to be equal to us. So whoever will be part of this role will be able to see only us team, and whoever will be part of Cristian team also from vacation days team needs to be filtered to Cristian. And now after building the roles, you can also view them inside the desktop and test them. So I want to see only us team here I want to see how the end user would see it. So I'm seeing only people from us team in if I'm viewing as this role, but if I want to see it only people from Cristian team, this is how you do it. So it's really easy when you publish it to the service and then put the right people inside. The end users will be able to see only what they need to see, so without any problem. And I did that yesterday with, let me see, yeah, this one. And here I'm logged in as a different guy, Alex Wilbur, who has access only to one of the teams. So if I'm going to apps and check what he has access to only to Cristian team. But the idea here is really nice that from here you can export the data and analyze it. Bring it back to Excel with row level security already. So if I'm opening to with Excel, ask later. Next, yeah, I know it's a dev account. Ask later. This one. Ask later. So I can see the data back to Excel, the one that I've pushed from Excel to Power BI service and coming back. Too many clicks on dev tenants. Yeah, this is connected to the data set that I've published with a pivot table where we can just put, see, this is the one that I built yesterday. If I'm putting the team here, I should be able to see only this team, the one that he has access to. So coming back to Excel, this is how we would do it. So I'm getting, yeah, this cannot be put there. I don't have any measure here. Solution one, I should have it here. And if I want to put the names, just adding the names. Names on rows, and I see everything, and I can leverage the data model already built. So starting in Excel, importing in Power BI, put row level security, publish it, and come back to Excel. Yeah, so just put a very good link on row level security. This is the easiest, not easy. This is more than basic stuff. You can do dynamic row level security. You can do lots of other things, which are really, really cool. And if you want to see a great session on row level security, come and see Matthias in June. He had a session last year, which was totally great, and he told me that he just improved it. So I'm really looking forward to see that one. Any questions for Oz or myself before going to the raffle?
Raffle. All right. Yes, they're waiting for the raffle.
Yeah. Christy, Oz, have you seen anything in the chat that I've missed? Maybe there was something and I missed it. I don't know.
Nope.
No, nothing new.
No, but I can tell that I also did the test as I was curious. I didn't know if you can copy paste like Control-C, Control-V the query from Excel to Power BI or a data flow, but it works.
It works. It totally works. I'm usually doing it if the number of queries is growing. The dependency view, both in Excel and Power BI, are pretty limited. So I want to leverage the Power Query Online and the dependency view that they have there. So I'm copying in bulk all the queries. I'm starting a flow, pasting it on a data flow just to see how queries are related and how everything works. Normally, that Power Query Online experience was supposed to come into Power BI Desktop in March, but it was postponed. I haven't seen it on the new roadmap, so who knows when it will come to Power BI Desktop. But in the end, it will come both to desktop and to Excel, hopefully, months
It
after.
was the custom function gallery that was supposed to come and it didn't come anymore.
Yeah, I saw it was also moved. Probably they are related. Oz.
Yes.
What do you think about our multitude of solutions? What would you recommend people do? What approach should anyone take when they have a problem, an easy or more complicated problem?
It should be guided by what they need and what they can be responsible for.
Through that.
Yeah.
Because otherwise you can get into trouble and
Yep.
who knows? Who knows, right?
Yep, and bring more anguish on yourself than you need, because that's part of my gripe with this index match people is like, if VLOOKUP works and I'm already dealing with somebody who doesn't want to be dealing with Excel anyway, I'm gonna say, look, all right, if VLOOKUP will do this for you, and I would not stress this person out about all kind of what ifs and this thing over here and all of that. And now you got to nest these two functions. And now the person just says, shut up, shut up, shut up. Just leave me alone. I'm going to do it my way. I've dealt with a lot of that.
To know in the simplest way possible, as long as you get the correct result, right?
That's right. That's the bottom line. Yeah.
And then work for optimization and things like this.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep.
So are you still using VLOOKUP or have you switched to more Power Query joins?
No, more joins and XLOOKUP.
Okay.
Yeah, because when things start to get messy and moving around and stuff, it's better to just do a join in Power Query.
Yeah, true. But for the people not having access to XLOOKUP and dynamic arrays, I think Power Query is for the win, right?
Yeah. Yep. Exactly.
Well, let's go quickly through the.
Sue had to leave. Brian had to leave. Wow.
Yeah, let's move quickly through the raffle and let everyone give back their time. Let's say it like this. And let me remove this one and share my screen and see how many participants do we have in the raffle. This is also for our newest members. This is a Power BI file which used to have Power Apps inside of it, and the Power Apps had a randomizer which failed at a certain point, so I'm using only part of it. So now I'm using this only to get the participants in the raffle. So we have 10 answers at the form and 7 participants. And in order to get the participants, of course, I'm using Power Query for the raffle entries. Let me see if this is the one. Yeah, 27th of April. Yeah. Just refresh it, get the latest data, and put it in the wheel of names. 7 participants. Copy everything and move to the wheel of names. Let me find it. Yeah, this one.
The wheel of names. Okay.
And let me see. Can I share the sound also? Yeah, it should work. Now that we have everything prepared, let's shuffle the names, the 7 names. So we will extract 2 winners. Each of them will benefit of 1 year free membership on Enterprise DNA platform, and they have lots of great content there. Everything is shuffled, so drum roll, please. John, you are the first winner. Congrats. Really cool.
John. All right.
Shuffle the names again. And let's see. Yassine, you are the second winner. Congrats.
All right.
I will contact you after the meetup to confirm your email addresses. Thank you again, Oz, for taking the time to come and visit us. Thank you for sharing your knowledge and your experience with us. Thank you all for joining our meetup.
Yeah, thank you all, and thanks for the invite, Cristian. Yeah, this was all right.
Anytime you want to present or come and see us, we are here. We are meeting roughly every last Thursday of the month. But we might start, and this is a preview for our members, we might start some additional meetups in Romanian, so stay tuned for details. For now, everything was virtual and in English. So we are thinking to start doubling the number of meetups and having one in English, one in Romanian, and maybe some in person. So stay tuned for details. Thanks again, Oz. Thank you everyone for joining, and whoever wants to stay a bit more for chit chat after I stop the recording, feel free to remain, and thanks again. See you next month with Sue, a great session on paginated reports. I'm really looking forward to it. Bye everyone.